Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Neil Thrussell, and I am super excited for today's show. And I'm super excited because I've had lots of coffee. And on our show today, we have the wonderful, the talented, the beautiful, the effervescent Lisa Manyon with us. And on my screen, way down there, is my buddy, my mentor, my friend, my tormentor, my motivator, Jamie Adamchuk. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
Yeah.
So good to be here this morning.
So I was just like so pumped up, and last night I can't even think, and I'm like just so excited and vibrating, and then 2 seconds later, I'm asleep because I solved my own question. I was dealing with some disappointment yesterday. I've been training for a marathon, and they canceled it, and I was just like, oh man, what am I gonna do? And as I was going through it, I just realized some of my own tools, my own training. It's just like, Neil, you can still run. It's just a race that they canceled. It wasn't that it was the end of the world. It's just mindset. Yes, the race is canceled, but I can go and still run. It's like it's crazy, but it's true. And I got caught in my own stories. Has anyone here on this panel ever get caught in their own story?
Yes.
So what was your story that you got caught in?
I mean, which one? I think we all do that, right? I mean, anyone who says that they don't, most of the time I find that we get in our own way without even realizing it. And I think pausing to really look at each situation, and especially if we think we can't do something or if we're feeling those disappointments, to be, well, really, what can I do? And is that even really true? Or am I falling into old mindset patterns that have blocked me in the past? And is it time to just dissolve those? And to all of those questions, I say yes.
Yeah. That's exciting. I love that perspective because for myself, I mean, I used to be the guy that saw the glass half empty all the time, right? Didn't recognize, hey, it's half filled with air, or it is half filled with wine, and there's like another half to go. I didn't see it that way. I saw it's like, oh my God, there's almost nothing left. But when I switched that mindset, that thought processing from, what's the problem to instead, hey, what's the opportunity here right now? Neil, you just nailed it. You nailed the opportunity right there. Is that you can go out and run. Yes, it's a race. Yes, there was a challenge. And it doesn't, prohibit you from going out and doing it at the same time. You can still go run. You can train. What's the opportunity? Gosh, when it comes around next year, you're going to be in even better shape and you're going to do even better. Opportunity, it's right there.
Yeah. Okay. And then you forget, Jamie, I'm in Calgary where we have winter for 10 months of the year. I don't do well training in the winter.
Inside, my man, there's got to be a way. We find a way. We persevere.
Absolutely. And for me, this whole craziness that we're involved in, all of this craziness in North America is just a giant opportunity for me to rethink what it is that I hold on so dearly. And so my beliefs, and I'm going through like a Band-Aid and peeling apart these beliefs that I believe I have and that I believe that support me. And I'm taking this opportunity to revisit my belief system. And yes, sometimes it's painful because I don't know about you, but I don't like to look at some of the ugliness inside of me. But it's also very liberating because it allows me to look at the goodness within me and celebrate. And I make sure I take the time to celebrate my goodness.
Celebrating is key.
Absolutely.
Totally agree.
So what do you do to celebrate, Lisa?
Well, I basically cherish every moment of every day. I really, really do. I'm super grateful for life. Coming up in August, it will be the 3-year anniversary of me being cancer-free. And so, I basically had to take charge of my life and change everything several years ago. And by doing that, and by changing the way that I eat and everything, in fact, I have green juice here as well. it's delicious. I reset my health and was able to go through a couple major surgeries, but no chemo or no radiation. And so I think once you face mortality, which can seem like a kind of a grim topic, for me, it's a beautiful topic because I viewed that as a gift. And now every single moment is a gift. And I celebrate all of it. And this is July, so it's my birthday month, and I've been celebrating all month long. And, little things are celebrations. Having, getting up early and having coffee with you gentlemen is a beautiful celebration. So it's all in perspective.
That's humongous. That whole mindset of celebration, when you're actively looking for all the things that are great, that you are grateful for, because inherently in celebration, there is a gratitude that fills within us. When you're filled with that, I believe, and maybe this is a little woo-woo or a little frou-frou of me, but I really truly believe that sense of gratitude, it can heal and cure so many things. When we're looking for what's right and what's positive, and we're constantly, consistently celebrating it every single day, that's game changing. That is outstanding.
You are so right, and I love that you said we can heal anything, because my whole process was healing with love, and that's what I kept telling everyone. My friends and colleagues, no, just going to heal this with love, and they'd look at me like I was kind of crazy. And here I am today saying yes. And then one of my friends said, I didn't know what you meant by that, but then I saw your posts on Facebook, and you were spending time in nature, and you were meditating, and you were walking, and you were eating really healthy food from the farmer's market. And she said, so I get it. It was really just filling yourself up with that self-love and taking care of yourself. I said, exactly. We don't do enough of that.
Absolutely. And to me, I had to chuckle, because when I first met Jamie, this woo-woo stuff was not it was his wife's vocabulary and her thought process. Jamie was a nuts and bolts kind of guy, and to see that and feel the change, and to see where Jamie has taken himself, and the success that Jamie has taken himself, and his lifestyle change. It's like, if you want change, just hang with Jamie for a little while, and you'll go from Vancouver to Langley to wherever. Change is, I think, it should be your middle name, my friend.
Absolutely. Change is good. What did Shrek say? Change is good, donkey. Change is good. Isn't that true?
Absolutely. And yet, it's, for most people, change is a fear-based response. It brings the terrors out of us. And it's unfortunate when I believe when we embrace change as a positive, and we look for the positives in the change, it affects and it enhances our life. Like, if people, I've got a couple that are getting divorced, and yet it's a terrible place societally for where they are, but it's a positive thing, because they're bringing out the positives in what's going to occur, and the positives for their children, and the positives for them as a couple and their relationship. And they've maintained, like, they are getting divorced, but there's no hostility within them, and it's a beautiful place and a beautiful thing to witness. So, what do you do for fun to keep yourself positive? Lisa, you said that you go out for a walk, and you were supposed to be swimming, but you chose to spend time with us handsome fellows instead of going swimming.
Yeah. So, I mean, again, it's a matter of just capturing the joy in every moment. So I spend a lot of time in Lithia Park here in Ashland. It's a beautiful, beautiful park that's open to the public, thankfully, even now, which is great. And so I spend a lot of time in nature. I spend time with friends. I do some wine tasting. I don't drink as much wine as I used to anymore, but I do love it. I call it entrepreneurial fuel. And I do swim laps in the morning until it's too cold and they close the pool down, but that's a good thing too. And honestly, hiking, just getting out in nature is what fuels me. I always say that nature is my medicine, and it truly, truly is. And surrounding myself with good people. I'm really particular about who I let into my sacred sphere of influence, and making sure that we've got that like-minded high vibration and are raising each other up instead of tearing each other down. And so it means I keep my circle pretty tight, even though I've got a pretty big, social media persona. When it comes right down to it, like there's an inner sanctum of creating that space with people just filled with joy who are moving forward in life in a positive way, and that's really it. I mean, for me, having fun is simple. Having fun is having tea with a girlfriend. Having fun is having a really interesting talk with friends, and the two of you, you know what I mean? So we're totally capable of finding joy in every moment. It's just that so many people focus on the negative that they lose sight of this gift that we've been given, that is life.
Absolutely.
Sweet.
Do you think that we've been trained, right, from maybe a young age to look for those negative things, not in a deceitful way or anything like that, but watch out for this or be careful for this, or we're always being taught that as children all the way up to be careful, to watch out, to do this. We might get into that fear mindset, and we might start to naturally look for all that's wrong over all that's actually right. Do you think there's a correlation between that?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, our whole worldview is shaped by everything that's occurred throughout our lives, familially, socially, governmentally, you name it. It's shaped the very core of who we are, and media being fed and how it's impacting us. And that comes down to even how we were treated as children and interacted with, and where we taught and treated as small humans, or were we talked down to, or what happened. And all of that impacts everything on both a conscious and a subconscious level, right? So it takes a lot of I think retraining to stay in that positive vibration, and to look at what can I enjoy today, what can I do to make my life a better place. There's an app that I use, and it's the 5-minute journal in the mornings, and I just jot down 5 things I'm grateful for and what I'm going to do to make the day a great day, and then recap at the end of the day. And you can add your own photo. And so I love to take photos of nature when I'm out and about. And so, there's so many things that we can do that they don't take a lot of time. They don't take a lot of money. They do take some concentration and some dedication and some commitment to ourselves.
Sweet. Absolutely. Well said. Thank you. As alluded to, for me, running is my zen. When I've been starting to get back to my health, to running distances again. And the first part of most runs are always like, oh, what was I thinking? The next part of the last part of the run, the last 10, 15% of the run is always, what was I thinking? But the middle part of the run is always this sweet spot where the rhythm of the feet is going, and it becomes this Zen meditation to me. And then, yes, I love to get out in nature. Well, no. I love to let my wife drag me out into nature. It's our little shtick. She always has to drag me out, and I always have to pretend I'm fighting it. But it's just, yeah, she loves to be out in nature. So of course, the reluctant husband to go with it.
That's good. It sounds like the ladies are having really positive influence on you, gentlemen. I like that.
Absolutely. And as an aside, I'm going to speak for Jamie here, but I believe we're both blessed to be married to incredible women.
Absolutely. No question about that whatsoever.
Yeah. And so one of the things, if you've seen our show before, you've noticed that we have a panel. And this week, we don't have, there was 3 of us. Normally, we have a panel of 5. But when I was getting guests, I was really excited to get Lisa on board. And then I thought to myself, I don't want to share Lisa with any of the other panels. I just want to keep her to myself, because one, I want to get to know Lisa more. It's really selfish from me today. And 2, I was so excited because Lisa has, let me see if I can actually bring up the band. Let's see if I can bring up. Lisa actually has a company called Write on Creative, and it's a copywriting service. And what I love, a million loves, is that she works with passion points as opposed to pain points. And I really want to have a discussion, as because our uplifting conversations are all about bringing people up, inspiring people, helping people across the bridge of from a place of complacency and depression and gloom. And Lisa's taking people's marketing and writing from the negative to the positive. So how did you get this crazy idea that to change marketing on its heels, per se?
Okay, so I'm going to get a little bit woo-woo, then I'll go into the details.
Okay.
This was very much divinely guided. I received a direct message from Source that told me I was going to change the trajectory of marketing, advertising, and copywriting. And of course I said, what? Me? Are you kidding me? And, I continued to get nudges. I call them God nudges, call them whatever you want, to do that. Well, I'd always been kind of approaching the copywriting methodology in a much different way. And what I saw so kind of to back up a little bit, I have an advertising agency background, and I've been drawn to the written word for as long as I can remember. And in 2003, I decided to start my business, and I was kind of bound by a non-compete. So I had to not work my magic in the local market, and decided, well, let's just go global. I mean, why wouldn't we, right? Sounds fantastic. Let's jump those barriers. So I started studying with some of the very top copywriters and marketers out there, especially who were doing online internet marketing, because most of my advertising agency background was more Madison Avenue style, radio, television, print, shorter copy kind of things. So as I was studying with all of these gurus, I noticed a common theme. And that common theme was that everyone was teaching about pain points. And it really didn't feel good to me. It felt really, really off. And I knew it was off. And so I kind of just started doing the opposite intuitively. And I tap into my intuition a lot in my business. Some people say that I'm known to see into the soul of their business and write the truest vision of it into existence, which is true. I tap into the energy of that. So I started doing this kind of organically, and people were coming to me and they'd say, Lisa, we've got our content all dialed in. We've worked with, either it was a sales trainer or a copywriter or a marketing expert. We have all of these pain points lined out, and my website's not converting, or my brochure's not converting, or my talks, my live events where I want to convert, not converting. And so I'd take a look at what they presented, and I said, so when was the last time someone poked at your pain points and you got really excited about doing business with them? And silence. And then we just basically, I'd kind of rewind, rewire, and retrain their brains to think about things differently, and to look at their core values and how those really roll into their mission and their vision and their message, and ask them, is that how you want to be spoken to? Do you want someone poking at your pain points? We're intelligent people. We know if something's wrong. So I just flipped the script and I started focusing on those passion points instead of pain points. And it really took hold when I was interviewed for an article and featured on the cover of Aspire magazine, like almost a decade ago, probably over a decade ago now. And I had to write an article about my methodology, and I'd been doing it intuitively, so I hadn't named it. And this is kind of a fun nugget for people, like, name it and claim it, because when you do, it will take on a life of its own. So I realized my whole framework, which I called the challenge, solution, and invitation communication framework, was what I was doing. So instead of focusing at the pain points, we definitely want to know what the problem is. That makes sense. So we acknowledge that, and I call it a challenge, because challenges are much easier to overcome. And then they kind of get you a little fired up, like, yeah, I can get over that. I can do that. It's a challenge. So we acknowledge the challenge with empathy and understanding, and then we come forward with our solution. And within our solution piece, we need to make sure that we really are offering exactly what our ideal clients want and need. And we also need to illustrate the value proposition of that. So that means, how will this change their life for the better? That's where we paint the picture of possibility with those passion points and say, once you do this, X, Y, and Z will happen. So we're uplifting everyone. We're focusing on those passion points instead of bringing them into the depths of despair with the pain points, which is manipulative but can work. And then once we've done that, we've basically laid a beautiful foundation to simply roll into a graceful invitation to ask people to take that next step. Yeah. And the one other thing I want to say, and I know I'm getting long-winded because I get so excited about this, guys, but is in the solution piece, if we're not the right solution, do not try to sell people something that they don't need. And I also tell people never, ever, ever overcome objections. You don't want to work with me? Great. Someone else will. And this is why. And I'm not going to talk you into it if you don't have the money or if you don't feel it's a good fit. You're not a good fit because the people that come my way are ready. They want to flip the script. They want to make a big difference in the world, and they want to treat everyone who's coming into contact with any piece of their content with authenticity, trust, dignity, and passion, period.
Wow. I can't tell you how much I appreciate hearing that. The whole idea of not selling, rather truly serving. Right. I tell all my people when we're talking about it, stop selling. Stop. If you have to sell, if you have to push, you're not doing something right early on. When you serve, just like you said, it'll be the right people that are ready for you. When I'm working with clients, whether it's coaching, whether it's consulting, scaling their businesses, I never sell. I do not sell, and I refuse to sell, because if I'm having to sell, just like you said, perhaps it's the wrong client, perhaps it's the wrong person. So hearing that from yourself, that speaks to me.
And what you said, when you're being of true service, you don't have to sell. And not that sales is a bad thing. I mean, some people say that it is, but it isn't. It's necessary. However, it can be done by building true relationships based on values and integrity. That's just the bottom line. And it works just as well, although people have argued with me and said, but studies show, 80% of the population is going to move away from pain points instead of the 20% that moves towards the passion points. I said, great, let me play with the 20% that are evolved and tapped in and ready to roll. There's more than enough business to go around. Yes. I don't need to compromise and try and convince people who don't understand that this is the way to go, because the people who are my ideal clients are magnetized to the message, and they're ready to roll up our sleeves, to look at what their most powerful solutions are, so that we can reverse engineer them into profitable revenue streams, and then wrap the content around that to really present the solution in a beautiful way.
Absolutely, it's just part of life's conversations. We can sit down in front of a total stranger, and within seconds we know whether this could be or we have an inkling or a knowing whether this conversation can go deep, or whether their mannerisms have put them so negatively and that they're not open to any kind of conversation. And I have been pleasantly surprised many times, but more times than not, my intuition has served me correctly that nope, this person does not want to talk about this, and they're going to be very hostile, and you just go, okay, we won't talk about woo-woo things, or we won't talk about whatever it is, because they're on their own agenda. I'm just like letting what you just said filter in. We need to put some elevator music in here, and
well, actually, I've got a really great question. The receptiveness of the people, rather than focusing in on those pain points, all that's wrong, all that they've got to fix, making them maybe even feel worse than they already are, rather than focusing on that, when you start to really provide some of that positivity, or a whole lot of that positivity into it, helping them see what's possible, what do you notice transform in those prospects that are about to turn into your clients? What do you see? What do you notice in them?
Well, I love it, because actually I was going to jump in and share this when Neil was saying he was soaking everything in. So we're in sync. This is so cool and so fun. So when I share the challenge, solution, and invitation framework, and I let people know that they can totally flip the script and focus on passion points instead of pain points, it actually dissolves energetic blocks that people have had sometimes for decades. Because what happens is people have been brainwashed, quite frankly, and that is a big part of marketing, advertising, copywriting. We've all been brainwashed to some degree, brainwashed to, just really roll into thinking that we have to use pain points. And in fact, in conversations with this is kind of like nails on a chalkboard to me. You'll hear people say, well, what are your pain points? I'm like, don't use that. That's ridiculous. Don't ask that question. What? You guys have been, you're so on autopilot and have been so brainwashed. You're just thinking that that's the best way to go. So anyway, when people hear about passion points, it lifts energetic blocks. It gets people hopeful and excited, and then they feel good about marketing, because let's face it, marketing and advertising and copywriting do not have the best reputation. So imagine my surprise when I'm told I'm supposed to change the trajectory of all of this. I'm like, that's kind of a big, tall order because this has been going on for a very long time. And, how can one person make an impact? But by sharing this and by seeing that transformation go on, and when I do live speaking events and workshops and trainings and talk about this, they're always very interactive. And so I have people at the beginning walk up and write on the board what their biggest challenges are when it comes to marketing, advertising, and copywriting. Tell them a little bit about me, share the framework, and then look at each of those challenges for them and bust right through them. And usually they're already dissolved once they hear about challenge, solution, invitation, and marketing with integrity. You don't really have to do much more because they realize there is a different way. It's totally possible to market with integrity and get better results. And there's two things that will never go out of style: your content, basically your message, and your strategy. You can evolve them, you can change them, but if you're really solid on those, you don't have to reinvent all the time. You can pivot, you can course correct a little bit, but really once you're clear on that, you can set the foundation for long-term sustainable business success. And that's really what I help clients do. I'm not a quick fix, not a flash in the pan, no cookie cutter paint by numbers. You have to actually dig in, embody this whole philosophy, look at your vision, mission, values, tie them all together, and then roll on. And if you haven't done that work ever, I highly recommend it, especially look at where we are in the world. We're all having to really look at and recommit to or reevaluate our values. Look, what really matters most, and how do we want to tie that into both business and our personal life? Because I always say business is personal. If someone does something icky in business and says, oh, it was just business, I'm like, no, you're just not a good person and we will not be doing business again. That's okay.
I'm blown away to hear those words out of your mouth, because literally yesterday I had that exact conversation, right? Life and business, they're like this. They're like this. They are inexplicably intertwined. And anyone that says they're completely separate, I'd call a little bit of BS on that.
Well, yeah, or master compartmentalization.
Yeah.
I love that, because integrity. And I don't know about you, but I have been sold a bill of goods because the person was a wonderful orator and they could, sell whatever. And I've been sold, and then there's been no integrity to keep up their end. And to me, it feels icky. And yet what I'm wanting, and all three of us here are about uplifting the world and bringing integrity and compassion and love to anyone that we meet just by our being, our who we are.
Yes, and you just touched on something super important. When you have been sold something from someone who does not walk their talk, who does not deliver, who doesn't make you feel good, or the product might not deliver, whatever it might be. It could be a person, it could be a product, whether it's a service or, more of a retail-based transaction. More often than not, what's happened in that scenario is the sales techniques, the marketing, the advertising, the copywriting have been coming from that pain point perspective. And what pain points do is they perpetuate buyer's remorse and return rates. Because what's happening is it's a manipulation technique. People are drawing you into your pain, telling you more and more about what's wrong with you, making you really feel that. And here's the truth. When we feel emotions, that does promote action one way or another. So you're being brought into the depths of despair. And then people are swooping in like these big marketing heroes to offer their solution, which might not even be a real solution. It's just something they want to sell. And they're triggering you on those pain points and those core wounds to get your money, which to that I say ick. And also it does, you're gonna, if anyone's ever felt buyer's remorse, look at the ad or the content or whatever it was that you responded to, and I can guarantee you that it was total pain point marketing.
Absolutely. It's interesting. Jamie does a 3 p.m. Facebook Live with a friend of ours, Mick, out of Australia, and I'm going, I think Lisa needs to be on your Insiders Elite program, Jamie.
Absolutely. Well, that business aspect and marketing and all that, Oh my God, like, girl, we're speaking each other's languages. This is like you said, in sync. There's no question about that whatsoever. I'm eating all this stuff up. This is absolute gold. And the best thing is it's totally in line. I mean, we've all heard it. Each one of us three have all heard it, where someone comes along with a bill of goods that it's not bad. It's that 80% fit. Lisa, what you've got here is that complete, absolute congruency. It's 100% fit with each and every one of it. I can't tell you how much I love that. Like,
thanks. Yeah, I'm so excited too, and just feeling the aligned energy. This is what it's all about, and I think it's fun for people to see. Look, when you're in sync, this is what happens. And by the way, I just got booked on another show by speaking my truth. That's how easy it is. See, like that. So that's a yes. I'll be on the show.
Yes, golden. Looking forward to it.
And my usual commission. Free
hugs when we're able to give those back. How about that?
Absolutely, my friend. And you notice our show is flowing. We're jumping to business. We're jumping to personal life. And Jamie and Lisa had said it perfectly. There's no separation. There's just life. Neil the athlete is the same as Neil the facilitator. Neil the coach is same as Neil the athlete. If I quit on my run and I just don't want to do it, the Neil is the same Neil out on stage that when things get tough, if I'm going to quit on stage, I'm going to quit. It's just, there's no separation. So it's, to me, and then Lisa talked about it prior, about making your community supportive, and part of my desire is to create and to ensure that I, with supportive people that speak my language, that let me be me, but are there to support me and walk my path and share my dreams, hopes, and aspirations. And that's what Uplift is about. It's setting your heart on fire. And if you're in a business and you can use passion points as opposed to those dreadful pain points, you will never be successful unless you buy X, and it will make you. You will never get women unless you do this kind of thing. That's just so yucky.
Yeah. And to change that around, to really focus in on all those really great points of really what's possible. Right. The whole idea, I mean, I'm the opportunity guy, all my coaching clients, everything. I'm constantly. I don't know how many times per call. Well, what's the opportunity here? This has become my standard. The question that I ask all the time is, what's the opportunity here? I've asked that for years now. What's really great about that, though, is anytime I hear challenge, I hear the word challenge, literally my brain switches that meaning. Okay, what's the opportunity? Challenge equals opportunity for me. Challenge equals opportunity. So I'm always now looking for that really great thing. And when we share that, just like you do, Lisa, just like you do, Neil, when we share those opportunities to be able to take what it is, make it even better, even greater, even stronger, people really respond to that. They want that. They want to know that it's not just poking on those pain points, but it really is truly finding that opportunity. And when you serve and when you help them grow, when you help them find that opportunity, they're a customer for life. They become that raving fan that they're telling every single person, don't go anywhere else. You don't need to go hire some fancy copywriter. All you have to just get a hold of Lisa. She'll take care of everything for you. And that's what we're looking for.
Well, it is. And what I love about that is, I don't do a ton of writing for people now. I do that on a higher level retained basis for select clients, but I have programs to teach this, right? I've got a copywriting program that teaches this. I've got my Marketing with Integrity program that helps people really dig into their values, vision, mission, story, and everything to get that all congruent so they can actually begin marketing with integrity. And so for me, I'm looking at different ways to leverage this to get it out to more people, because even when people just look at my copywriting action plan, that can shift things for them and give them a roadmap to create their own content, and they may never, ever hire me. And that's totally fine, because again, I was given this mission. And so yes, part of it will mean that I will make some money off of it, but there's another part of it where I freely give a lot of great information just because I want people to succeed. And I really want people to start out the right way, so they're not chasing those bright, shiny objects, and they're not being distracted by people who are just trying to sell them the promise of prosperity with no follow through.
Sparkly. Okay, brain. I had it and then it's gone, but that's okay. So I love it that because 2010, I was gifted with a direct download for something called the Shindao. It's a philosophy, the way of the heart, and I created all of these. I create with divine help. I created a way of being, and then 2012 hit, and I had catastrophic memory loss to the point where I could get lost in my own neighborhood. And it's been fun because lately it's coming back. It's been like, well, you didn't get it the first time. Whoom, here, have it back again. And it's just got me so juiced and so invigorating in life that it's really, I believe, when we come from a place of service, we come from a place of divine desire to help another, the universe does provide for us, and it gives us back to the degree that we are open to receive it.
Very
Absolutely,
true.
no question. For sure. Lisa, I've got a question. I'm just curious about it there. When we look at marketing as a whole today, I mean, you've got all these people out there, you've got some of these big gurus and all that. Is there anyone in particular that you might take even just a little bit of inspiration from? Is there anyone out there that you see, right? Not to take away from yourself in any way, shape, or form, but anyone that you see that's making a good positive influence, someone that, you know, people could look at? Who would you say is doing a good job out there right now?
Yeah, my favorite is always Seth Godin, hands down. He's amazing. There's not a whole lot of people that I follow because I find many of them are doing the pain point and I'm immediately just turned off. You know, it doesn't resonate with me. It doesn't resonate with who I'm serving. And so, you know, there we have it. So, you know, because I've got the advertising agency background, because I have worked in, you know, radio, played with all different mediums. I'm a certified radio marketing master through the Radio Advertising Bureau, studied both long and short copy, all of that. I've kind of been my own master teacher. While I've went and looked and followed other people to see what they were doing, most of the time what I learned was what not to do. And that's how I paved the road forward to do what I do.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you've taken that on, that you've owned it. It's not about, oh, I've got to go copy someone, or I've got to go do this, or I've got to go do that, or I've got to be a group. You know, you said, and you got that download and you knew. It's like, I have to take my knowledge, my expertise in everything, find that opportunity, right? Show them the way that's possible, find their passion in it and take it that way. And I think that is something that, I mean, you're still, even though you've got that great following, you've done a ton of work and all that, there's still a massive amount of people. If it is only the 20%, let's take it all. Because like you said earlier, that 20%, it's huge. It's huge.
It is. It really is. And we can make such a positive impact. And it's important. I always tell people to question everything. Never, ever, ever take anything at face value. Always get referrals and references. Check them. Don't just get them, check them. Really make sure that people are walking their talk. And so, you know, it's interesting because not everyone can really do that. You know, there's one person that I know who refuses to give anybody referrals. They find that that's offensive because their work should stand on its own. Well, not if we can't talk to anybody who's experienced it and see results. So, you know, I think the proof is in the application and the results and the alignment. And it's really important to, again, you know, question everything. Look at what feels right to you. Find the best techniques for you, whatever that might be.
What I love is that just by asking people to go with their passion points as opposed to pain points, you're elevating the conversation in its most simple form. You're elevating the conversation. So as the person your client is working with and being elevated, they themselves then are taking the passion, the passion points out to the world.
Exactly. And that's, it's a ripple effect too, right? Even if we're looking at just the 20% who resonate with this, that's great. But then we can grow that too if we want to. And it's really a matter of aligning with people who you're meant to play with. And I do call it play because I love what I do so much.
Yeah. You're speaking to the converted here.
Yeah. What's great is the thought that keeps going through my head right now. Like, we all get these downloads. It's all happening. The thought that keeps going through my head over and over and over. What happens when the 80-20 switches? What happens when the 80% becomes people really looking for their passion? What excites them? What's the opportunity? What happens when, and I believe this, I'm going to make this statement right now. It's bold. What happens when we switch that over? Ooh.
I like it. Way to prepave. Well, I think the world will be a much better place in general. I do believe that we can do good business with integrity always. I think there's more than enough opportunity to go around. And even now, with everything we're facing in the world, it's creating new opportunities for us and the opportunity to course correct. And while it can be challenging and the change is very difficult for some, it can also really open up all kinds of new avenues that people haven't even thought about.
Absolutely. And as we go forward and the conversations are more positive because of the change, like there's rapid changes and people aren't trusting. So they're looking at what works for them and what's not working for them and what does work. So they're looking for new opportunities and new way of doing things. So it's a perfect time to go, well, this didn't work, so let's make it positive conversation. Because the way we're talking with people are noticing that everything is so negative everywhere. So we need to change that. And the conversations are changing.
They really are. And it's so important, I think, for people to really take note and realize that it's always about quality over quantity. And this is something that some people will disagree with me on, but quite frankly, when you're aligned with your message and it's a quality message and you're sending that out to the right people, you're going to be attracting quality clients. And so you may have a smaller amount of influence to begin with, but it's really solid, and that foundation will ripple out and will attract more and more people to you. So there's so many people that will come my way and say, I need to get more people on my email list, or I need to do, I need more people. No, you need a better message. You need to be very clear about exactly who you want to play with. And then you need to speak to them directly and stop trying to be all things to everyone. Own your magic and the rest will follow.
Now, you just said something so key there, right? Own your magic. Own it. Decide what it is. It's not about being that jack of all trades. Like, really narrow it down. Decide what you are an absolute expert on, what where your passion lies, what you're truly aligned with, and then go do that.
Exactly. I couldn't have said it better.
Sweet.
Awesome. Just taking it all in, Neil. I see ya. It's just like, own it.
It's good.
Because I love to be, like, in my personal life, I'm a very positive, very upbeat person. But I see in the business world, so many people separate, and who they are in business is not who they are. That they will not always come from a place of integrity. And Jamie and our relationship is about integrity. Say what you mean what you say, and always do it. So it's just beautiful to be holding this conversation where integrity and positivity is so paramount and so core to it, because there is so much poop in the world right now, and to be sitting with two other beautiful souls and not wading in the poop and lifting ourselves up and sharing and honoring that we're all really on a similar path we're taking our own journeys and we're on a similar path and we see things slightly different, but yet there's so many synchronicities that it's just absolutely beautiful and it just warms my heart.
Absolutely. And that's a great place to come from. One more question, if I might, Lisa, before I know we're getting kind of close to our end time here. But if there was something that you could share with the viewers as to where to start in their business, if maybe they're in that place where, we got to do a little bit more. We've got to attract more clients. We've got to, grow our business, especially in some of these uncertain times. I know you and I see them as opportunities for sure. Where would you tell them the first place to start is so that I can tap into some of that positivity? Where would they start?
I think they just have to start by looking at their overall message and strategy straight up. Those are the two things that are vital to success. And so many times, small shifts make really, really big impact, especially with messaging. And, when it comes to copywriting, there's all kinds of techniques that are really important that can shift things. I mean, when I do like a Manyon marketing web makeover to help people uplift and elevate their online message, if it's not working, one of the number one thing that people look at is the headline. Often people have written really bad headlines that aren't going to draw anyone in. You only have a few seconds to draw people in. So there's some small shifts that can really, really make big impact. I mean, a change just like that has been known to increase opt-in rates by over 50% in a very short period of time. So it's something to look at when you're doing messaging anywhere. It doesn't even have to be online, but in general, is it resonating with who you're meant to serve? And put yourself in the shoes of your ideal client. And would that message make you excited to play with you?
Love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And as Jamie alluded to, pout. Jamie, we have to keep a tight time frame because Jamie's on another call right after this, and which is good because it keeps our calls succinct and to the point. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Lisa?
The best way is really just to visit my website at writetoncreative.com. I have a free copywriting action plan there. I have a really cool section on my blog as well. It's the Ask Lisa section. So if people have questions, you can actually fill out a form, send me an email. I'll respond to you personally, and I might even blog about it. I don't always name the people that I blog about. I ask for permission if they want to be named. However, that's a great way to kind of get to know one another. And if you do have questions, it's a quick way for me to give you an answer and maybe point you in the right direction.
Excellent. Thank you. And little old me, the best way to get a hold of me is through, well, there's millions of ways, but the best way is through bestyoucanbe.ca and or on this Facebook channel. And yeah, how do we get a hold of you, Jamie?
There's about 1.5 million different ways. uecoaching.com is a great way to get a hold of me. Of course, all over social media, all that sort of good stuff too. And yeah, I'm excited. This has been an amazing conversation today. Oh,
what a great way to start the day.
Definitely.
Yes, and thank you, because it was 7:30 a.m. In your time zone, Lisa and Jamie. So thank you for getting up, and Jamie for getting your hair ready.
I got my hair done.
Yeah,
that's great.
Yeah. So I'm gonna ask we can just go. Do you want to end today with the last, or do you want me to, Jamie? What do you want?
Either or, my friend. You call it, we'll roll with it.
Okay, so I'm gonna give Jamie the last words today, and so then I will share some last minute thoughts, and then we're gonna go to Lisa, and then we'll let Jamie end it. So no matter where you are on your journey, remember you are worthy of fulfilling all of your passions, all of your dreams, all of your desires. You are worthy of all your needs and wants. And with that, Lisa.
Sure. So I just want to really encourage everyone to choose you and to commit to you, both personally and professionally. And that all starts with being in full alignment with your values, taking a close look at that and seeing how you can amplify and elevate the energy in your life.
Absolutely.
Ooh, thank you.
I watched a recent webinar with Ken Honda, a famous gentleman out of Japan, and he talks about healing money wounds and stuff. And it was so applicable because he said, just like air that's all around us every time, so is everything else. His context was in money, but I believe that positivity, that opportunities, that anything you want is always all around you at all the time. Rather than focusing in on what you don't want, go ahead, give it the opportunity to focus in on what it is you want, and you'll have all that you've ever wanted in life.
Thank you. And thank you for tuning in.